What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Goss Podcast, Capture Media. I'm Akhtar Muhammad. I got my brother, my boy, my co-host, Taria Costa. What's good, bro?
I'm good, bro. How you doing? I'm here.
Like that one more time. My hat hit the
Yeah, it's all right. It's the bloopers. It's the bloopers.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Goss Podcast. I'm Akhtar Muhammad. I got my brother, my co-host, my bro, Taria Costa. What's good?
I'm good, bro. How we doing? How we doing?
Bro?
I'm good.
How you feeling?
I'm great. I'm
right?
straight. Yeah, bro. It's got the haircut. I'm looking fresh. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to get it.
Let's go.
Ready to dive into the topics, bro. What we got?
We're ready. So today, always we think about different topics. We always have meaningful conversations, but all of it doesn't make it to, the actual podcast. Right. But today, we're gonna present some new information, and me being a father, a black father, this stat that I just discovered really, hits home, just as a whole, and what the narrative has been around black fathers. So it's very important to do your own research, right? Mm-hmm. Not just, think about your experiences, but you have to really dig deep, do the research from accredited sources that's peer reviewed, right?
Okay.
Respectful sources that is world renowned and recognized. And let's talk about it. So the topic is basically, are black women, right, choosing their personal happiness and just their personal preference, are they choosing that over staying together and keeping the family together? And we all know that, when the family stays together, kids grow up in a more productive situation. The foundation of a kid's productivity is much more sufficient. More kids who are raised in single-parent households, specifically single-mother households, have a higher chance of ending up in jail, prison, higher chance of being a degenerate, being a criminal, not graduating. So when we look at this, right, and we understand that this is high possibilities, and when I say leaving, and I'm saying I'm looking at the woman, because we all know from another stat, women initiate over 70% of divorces, and most breakups are initiated by females, right?
These are the statistics.
Okay, so are they choosing their personal happiness over raising their children in a two-parent household? Now, I had to do some research, and here's one of the stats. According to the CDC, a 2013 report by the CDC, black fathers, 78% were almost more likely to eat meals with their children every day compared with white and Hispanic fathers. And a higher percentage of black fathers took their children to or from activities every day compared with white fathers. And then also it says, according to the CDC, a 2013 report, black fathers are more involved in their children's lives than fathers of other races, including daily care, non-residential care, involvement overall, and so on and so forth, right? So I've always heard black fathers being absent. What's the narrative? Black fathers are not there. Black fathers are deadbeats, right? An overwhelming, right, percentage are deadbeats. Mm-hmm. So now I'm reading this, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is incredible. So now, if overall, right, what was said is untrue based on this data and statistics. Now, some might say black fathers might not maintain occupation, so they have more time to spend with their kids. Some might say because they're not working as hard as other races. Even though that may be the case, it still doesn't negate that they're spending time. So I never heard that black fathers, it wasn't more so that black fathers didn't have better jobs than other races of men. Black fathers weren't working as hard. That wasn't the narrative. The narrative was black fathers were not there. They were not spending time. So according to this study, they are there and they are spending time. And in comparison to other races, they're spending more time and they are there more. So the problem now is Well, the question I have now is, why is it that, if because we do see that the black fathers are more involved in there, why is it that these black women are deciding to leave and break up the family, even knowing that their kids would do much better in a two-parent household and in a two-parent foundation? Todd, what do you have to say about that?
I mean, my bro, you said a lot. So we got to backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
First thing is that a black statistic or is it a man statistic?
So that study,
Said men, not black
no,
men.
no, black men.
That's a black man
Yes,
specifically?
black men. Let me open it up again.
Yeah. Let's put it on
I
the
have,
screen.
I have to open it up again for you. So it says, look.
Haas, put it on the screen. Right now. Because,
Yes, the 2013 CDC report found that black fathers are more involved in their children's lives
Than other
fathers
races.
of other races, including daily care, non-residential care, and involvement overall. So black fathers, not just fathers, black fathers.
All right. What do I think about when I hear that?
Wait, isn't this mind-blowing?
It is mind-blowing.
Because I never knew this.
I mean,
And wait, can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
I have a lot of friends, right, who are black. And a lot of those friends that I have children. Yeah. Even though they might not be with the mother, right?
Right.
Even though younger growing up, I had friends who actually were teenage fathers. And if they look back at it, looking back at it, they even told me that they should have waited until they got married. But for whatever, the reason is they got a woman pregnant. And sometimes, unfortunately, they were in the streets doing things that were, unbecoming, right? But they still took care of those children, right? And I would argue a big part of being a good father is not risking your freedom, because if you risk your freedom, you take your you will become absent because you're not going to be there because you might be in jail.
doesn't that contradict
right?
what you said about them doing risky shit?
No, that's what I'm saying. So I do think that part of being a good father is making good decisions so that you don't put yourself at risk, right? But that still doesn't take away the fact that they were there, right? And I'm not saying that they should have been doing those things that they were doing, but the fact is they were there. So now when I'm reading that stat and just anecdotally looking at it from my perspective, all my friends that I know who are black, who are fathers, whether they're married or not, they are good fathers. So it's only hard to believe because I've been hearing this narrative so long throughout the, with the media saying black fathers are absent, black fathers are deadbeats. But I don't take my personal experience and think that overrides the data, right? But according to the data, it does kind of agree with my firsthand experience of my friends growing up and even friends to this day and their involvement with their children, right? So what is that? When you hear this, Tyree, and you have the data, I sent it to you too.
Of course. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
So then you present the question of are women choosing their happiness over having the father of the child in their life, right? From the looks of the data, I want to say yeah. Like if you're saying that they're active, if they're here to nurture the child in these ways that you listed, because you said non-residential, you said
Daily activities. They're more likely than other races to
so then
spend time with their children, especially during times when they're
I always try to
daily
figure out,
activities.
when I read or hear statistics, I always try to think of I try to break down a statistic because you can look at a statistic and draw many, many different conclusions. So maybe it's a financial issue, right? But you said even though not being financially stable but being present is important, perhaps that's
obviously you want both. You want the man to be financially stable and present, but a man that's financially stable and not present is just as bad, right? Or I think it's worse. If you had to choose a man that's financially stable but doesn't spend time with his kids, especially during critical those critical years, right?
Like the teenage 10-year-old, because when your child is young, they say, well, people,
the developmental stages, right?
Pretty much. Well, the stages, because they say the mother raises the child, and then the man takes over the child, especially if it's a boy. If it's a boy, you raise the boy, and then the man comes in around 9 or 10 when it's time for him to really learn the masculine stuff about the world and
discipline.
Yeah. When it comes to him to grow into a man, that's when the man that's what they say. Not saying that the dad isn't there from the younger years, but that's most time where he spend more time with his mother, learning basic things such as socialization and being nurtured and being taken care of. Because I really don't. It sounds like what you're saying is right. Like if I had to draw a conclusion, it sounds like, okay, if these dudes are here, even if they're not there ideally, why are we having a narrative of black men are deadbeats?
Yeah.
Like, where does that narrative come from?
Exactly.
Personally, I
honestly, now can I tell you the truth? An enemy can't destroy you on the outside, right?
Okay.
Unless there's some type of help from within the inside, right?
I get what you're saying.
So what I'm saying is, how can that narrative fly and build up steam if it's not being perpetuated from within inside, right? Of the person that's partnered with that black man. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Are black women contributing to the stereotype of black fathers not being there?
So you think that? Oh,
I mean that's the question, right? And do you put now? Here's another thing. It might be controversial, but I'm gonna say it. We know how destructive, right, gangbangers are to the black community. We know how destructive drug dealers are to the black community. Are black women who choose to become single mothers for no other reason other than she's not happy anymore, she's not in love with the father anymore, are they just as destructive to the black community as gangbangers and drug dealers are? If you know that black kids do better in a two-parent household, right, and are going to be more productive members of society in a two-parent household, but you still choose your personal happiness over having a father, right, within the family helping you raise that child, are you just as guilty? Should we put some blame on that? Because most gangbangers come out of a single-parent households, right? Most drug dealers come out of single-parent households. Like, when I was buying property, there was a stat, Tyree, that highlighted how many single mothers occupy a certain community, right? And that could kind of tell you what the level of crime is in that community, right? The level of vice taking place in that community, and that's very deep, right? So if you're a black woman, now obviously if you're getting abused, if you get abandoned, I understand, right? You have to do what you have to do. If the father of that child passes away, you have to do what you have to do. But if you're just leaving a family or breaking up a family because of your personal happiness, or because you're not attracted to him anymore, or because you just fell out of love, I gotta put a lot of blame on those women who choose to do that, knowing that can lead to a destructive-minded child.
So what you're saying is that if a woman makes a bad decision with a man, that she should stay with him indefinitely despite what happens because of the
So
child?
when you say bad decision, what do you mean if she makes a bad decision?
Let's say she gets with a man and he's not as ambitious, or maybe he's not as, because I try to understand, like, we set aside abuse, right? We already set aside infidelity. We're gonna set aside the crazy.
Even infidelity, man. Like, let's not even set aside infidelity, because other than,
So a woman should tolerate infidelity for the sake of her child?
what I'm saying is, how many men are out there cheating? And you think it's going to be, so for the woman, you think it'll be easier for her on the dating market with the child now? Having a child on the dating market, you're older, past trauma, right? Because you went through certain things according to that woman, right? So now is it going to be easier to get another man to take on that stepfather role? Because men of value tend not to want to step in and become a stepfather. So like,
I think for the idea is that the possibility of me being happy is better than the definite situation I am in now. So I think that when women leave these situations, they leave optimistically. Like, I can find better, I can do better. Perhaps it's not weighing what a child does to you when you get back out on a dating scene, or what a child can do for you as far as your options. And maybe there are women that'll say, like, if he's meant for me, he'll accept me and my children, or we're a package deal. Like,
but that still doesn't.
It's not an optimal situation.
It's not.
It's not an optimal situation. And to a degree, I get what you're saying.
Most men are hesitant, Tyree, to get into serious relationships with single mothers. especially men who built themselves up to a certain situation financially, right? Who have a lot to lose.
Right.
Most men, and you can even look at just, what men are saying in current times. They're not taking on single mothers, right? So how is it easier for a single mother, right? She might be older with kids hitting the dating market. It's not going to be she's not going to have that many opportunities as she would if she was younger without a child, right?
So it's like you writing off their life in that sense. Like,
I'm not writing up their life.
I'm not
just
saying
saying
you are,
why.
but I'm saying-
But why are they choosing? And according to the data, they're leaving a race of men that are the most involved with their kids. Because if you let the media tell you right before I've heard this stat, you would think that they're leaving deadbeats, right? They're leaving men that are not present, right? They're leaving men that are not involved. So a black woman might say, hey, he didn't do shit anyway, so me leaving him is not going to affect, because I did everything. But now, according to this data and this study, it's saying otherwise.
Well, here's the other side, right? The other side is the more you get older as a man, the more you tend to understand your father. Because there are parts of the story that tend to get left out.
Yes.
There's situations that you were never made privy to. Your mom might have been way more bitter. Like, I was raised by a single mom, and the story that I didn't meet my father till I was like 18, bro. Like, and the story I heard from him was vastly different than the story my mom gave me. Now, I could see truth in both sides. Like, my dad was kind of a street nigga. She was running around. He was doing things he ain't got no business doing. But from the way that he explains it, it's not that he didn't try to be there. Kind of like what you said. Like, he was.
But who picked that street nigga?
She
right?
did.
All right. So even if you're telling me the father, right?
And I love my mother. You know?
Okay, but I'm just saying, and that's just
And my father.
But that's just one example out of many that I've heard. Oh, he's a deadbeat. He's not worth shit, or he's a street
But
guy, or he's this.
why-
But what I'm saying is that you picked them.
Yeah.
So where's the accountability for picking the wrong man?
Well,
right?
remember, I was saying this to you earlier. Like, there's a lot of pressure. Women are young when they're picking these men. Like, you wouldn't know what to do with $1 million if you got $1 million at 19, which essentially what I think it is for a woman to pick a man to get pregnant by, or to, like, women are, like you said, they have their value up front. So a beautiful woman has all of this power and access to different types of men and things like that without proper discernment or teaching, or anyone to teach them the discernment to pick through these men. So I often find that they make the wrong choices at a young age, and then they wish that they didn't make those choices. Like, I think.
But if there were fathers in the household, maybe those young men.
Yeah,
maybe those young women wouldn't be making those choices. So it goes back to keeping a father in the household.
It's like a chicken or the egg thing. Then,
yeah, but keeping a father in the household so that when you do have kids, your daughter can make the right decisions. But that's
the cycle. So then it goes back to the mother of that young woman, and what was the relationship between that young woman's mother and father? So whereas the father couldn't stay in, so it's like it becomes a chicken or the egg. So there's like when we have a lot of problems like this within intersexual dynamics, where it's like, no, it's the man's fault, but then it's the woman's fault. What's the solution now?
The solution is whoever controls sex has more responsibility, right? Right? The woman controls who gets sex. The man controls who gets the relationship. If you're giving out sex indiscriminately, men are going to take it, right? They're going to take it. They're wired to take it. But you have to be.
The women will say, tell the men to be better.
Well, I mean, but at the same time, you still have to choose correctly, right? Even though you could say be better, cool. So don't pick men who need to be better. Pick men who are better, right? Like, so if you're saying that men need to be better, there's always going to be people in every demographic that need to be better, but women need to pick men that are better, right? And stay away from the men that need to get better until they are better. So, but I don't want to step away from the topic, Ty.
No, I don't think we're stepping away.
What I'm saying is,
yes,
after reading this data,
yeah,
I'm seeing things totally different now. And when you propose arranged marriages, right, to the black community,
I was going to say that.
Yeah, you was going to say that?
Yeah, I was going to go back to that.
So knowing that women have historically been picking men that they're leaving, right, something is there. It says something. If you're picking men that you're walking away from for whatever reason, right, you should pick better. So why not introduce arranged marriage to say, hey, historically speaking, especially in this modern time, we've been picking wrong men. And then you look back at the black community in the 40s and the 30s where marriages were thriving, we were more together, we had more productivity within the black community.
Right.
Who a woman marries or dates was not a choice she made alone. She brought that man home and had to get the approval of the family. Families met families, and then the decision was made. Nowadays, you have women out there isolating themselves, dating, right, by themselves and not involving their family. And I can understand if some women don't have sufficient family to even ask, they might be in a situation where they don't respect their father or the father's absent. I can understand that. But it has to still be some kind of family to help aid that woman in her choice in who she chooses to marry, right? If not, then we're going to still keep on having these problems.
Because I always think, okay, arranged marriages is a possible solution. Because my mind goes in so many places. That's why I'm like fucking disheveled. In
But let me put you on the hot seat. Are you putting women in the black women who choose to become single mothers for no other reason but they're not happy or they're bored? Are you holding them just as accountable as you would hold people who are destroying the community by drug dealing and committing violence in the community?
You did say that already.
Are you though?
Are women?
Wait, did I ask you that already?
No, you didn't ask, but you kind of phrased, you said a little bit of that before, as far as the drug dealers, the single mothers are comparable to what the drug dealers and other people do to the community because they're raising.
Because that creates the drug dealer, that creates the criminal, right?
Kinda, yeah. I see what you're saying.
All right, so are we gonna, right? Are we gonna?
Should we condemn single mothers for being just as detrimental to the black community as drug dealers and career killers and all of that?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they are being detrimental to the community, but then again, it's like I'm trying to understand this from a woman's perspective too. Although it's funny we did though.
And then here's another stat. This is not just for black men, Tyree. What? Let me pull this up because I want to say the exact stat.
Yeah. I mean, this is a difficult argument, bro, because what you're saying, I agree with the fact that, okay, if you're saying that the dudes are there, then what is really your problem?
Tyree, listen to the stat.
All right, hit me with it.
According to the CDC, 55.2% of men age 15 to 49 from 2015 to 2019 did not father a biological child. Women are sleeping with the same man. Women are having kids with the same man.
I mean,
man.
I mean, that kind of correlates. Women but that's hypergamy. That's the laws of hypergamy. Like, you remember Orion Tarabrand? I've been calling that dude Ryan Tarabrand for a minute. Mm-hmm. But it's Orion. Yeah, Psychax. Yeah. But he speaks about, and everyone speaks about, women want to date the top 10% of men. Like, so it's like, it's kind of natural.
So when are they going to learn just because they want to date the top 10 or the best looking, the best genetics, it might not be the best decision or the best choice for them? Well, I mean, if they know that this is a repeated process and they still end up being single mothers, why not date for long-term, right?
I think they do as they get older.
For long-term stability.
I think they do as they get older.
But as they get older, are they still as desirable as they once were?
No.
Before they had children and they're older as they were when they were younger?
Some would say yes, but I would say
I'm asking the question.
Statistically, the answer is no. But some women would say they age and they've gotten better over time.
Okay, cool. But what I'm saying to you, Tyree, is since we know that women initiate over 70% of divorces, black fathers are more involved in their kids' lives than the media would like you to believe, right? And also, too, women are having kids by the same man. Yo, that's a staggering stat, bro.
Yeah, when you add all of those things together.
Bro, over 55% of men ages 15 to 49 have not fathered a biological child. Yo, that's crazy.
That means the 45%.
And here's another stat. According to the CDC, right? 60% of men are single, while only 30% of females are single. Come on, man.
How does that stat even wait? 60% of men are single. 30%. That kind of doesn't that mean they still dating the same person?
Exactly.
Like, 'cause
Exactly.
It's like, how the fuck?
Exactly. And here's another stat, like I've said on the podcast, is that 70% of women have procreated, while only 40% of men have procreated, and that's historically speaking from like the beginning of time, right? Mm-hmm. And now you speed it up to now, that stat still stands true. So there's a lot of good men out there who might not be as handsome, who might not be as cool, or who might not have the swag, but they deserve to have a wife. They might be the stable man that these women say they want, but yet they complain about infidelity. But you're sleeping with the same guy. How does that make sense? If you're complaining, if a lot of women are complaining about infidelity, but it shows that they're all sleeping with the same group of men, right? That just goes against. It's like cognitive dissonance.
I'm not attracted to those other men I'm not sleeping with.
Well, so what do we do about that then?
So you trying to tell a woman to be with a man?
If you know that this food is not as tasty as this food, but this food causes cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and you still continue to eat it, who's to blame?
We're in an obese America.
But what I'm saying is
You're
have
right.
to. No, okay, so exactly.
So the same way they
agree.
make the bad choices with the food, they're gonna make the bad choices for the men.
But when do you look at yourself and say, hey, are the choices that I make, even though they might be attractive choices, are they better for me? So what you're saying is that women shouldn't be held accountable for making bad choices because those bad choices are more visually appealing, Tyree, even though.
No, I'm not saying they shouldn't be held accountable, but I understand it. I feel like women learn what they
You can
want.
understand it, but that doesn't mean that they're not to blame.
I could agree with that, but I feel like women learn what they want when it's too late. Like they given their beauty and their.
But they're having kids with the same man. So what if she's having kids with the same type of man after leaving the first man? How many women have 2 or 3 baby fathers, Tyree?
I get what you said.
No. How many women have 2 and 3 baby fathers? So what's the excuse there? If they got put into a situation with the first baby father where they had to leave, and they picked the same type of man, and the second baby father and the third baby father, they didn't learn their lesson, Tyree?
Well, because I don't think it's the same exact type of man, bro. Like obviously, if you
Most women have a type, bro, and if you look at their type, they've dated that same type of man on multiple occasions, Tyree.
Okay, because when I listen to women's stories about how they end up with 2 and 3 baby fathers, I hate to go anecdotal, but all I can do is rely on what I talk to women who say. Usually, there are some similarities. Like there might be a time where she date 2 different types of hood dudes, but the problem that presents himself in either relationship could be different. I just think by the time women have dated enough to learn, this is why it's
But Tyree,
important.
that's a big decision to have someone's kid, man. Listen, even if these women are just sleeping
And
with the guys.
that's the problem.
Hold on, bro. There's more contraceptives. There's more things that you can, do to prevent pregnancy. Women know their cycles. They have apps. They have condoms. They have birth control. That's a big step, bro. Like saying you're sleeping with these kind of guys, okay, understandable. Even though sex should be sacred and not just activity, right? Even though you're sleeping with these guys, cool. But to have a whole human being with this man, bro, like think about that.
Yeah.
You're deciding to have a whole human being. And even I'm not taking the blame away from men because you should be very, very, responsible when you sleep with women. You should wear condoms, even if the woman says to you she's on birth control. You shouldn't just take her word. Wear condoms, right? You should be able to do things. Men should prevent pregnancy on whatever's in
Whatever
their
they
control,
can do on
right?
their half, yeah.
So, but once you ejaculate, that's over. She has all responsibility at that point. If you want the kid and she doesn't, the kid can get aborted, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the state, right? If she wants the kid and you don't, she can keep the kid, right? And you have no say so. So I'm not alleviating men from being responsible and taking blame, but at the same time, women have more responsibility because they are the ones who choose who's birthed, right? If the child is birthed. So having a kid with a man, bro, that's something that's big, bro. That's not, yeah.
I mean,
And
most
they're
women would
choosing
have-
to have these kids, bro.
Yeah, and there was a joke going around that women are more likely to have a kid with a man before they marry a man, which is crazy.
Yeah, what do you
And from what I see in this day and
and
age,
why and why in the black community are we not marrying before we carry?
Well, I mean, that goes back to the welfare thing, right? Like,
Exactly.
there's more incentive to just have a kid, and I think that this is kind of like these are. So we have been. There are a series of things that have happened that have caused the destruction of like the nuclear family as a whole, but it affects the black family even more. We kind of talked a little bit about this, and I just think that we haven't recovered. I think it's like if you keep someone in a state of ignorance for long enough, you no longer have to oppress them; they'll oppress themselves.
Facts.
So we're at a
Facts.
point now where the information is there, and if we was to work together as whole black men and black women as a whole, we can get out of this.
But the thing is, we have such an individualistic mindset as black people.
But
that's
what's been breeded.
And we don't want to sacrifice for the greater good of the community. We want what we want. And a lot of times the shit that we want, it turns out bad for us.
And
right?
that goes back to the doing things out of the sake of your happiness thing, right?
Yeah, man. So listen, man, this was a great episode, Tyree. And for sure though, I'm gonna come back and we're gonna add more to this. But
Yeah,
I just wanted to put it out there because after reading that CDC report of black fathers being more involved, right, with parenting than any other race of man.
You had to get this shit out to the people.
You had to get the shit out to the people.
You had to get it out to the people.
And also too, over 55% of men not having a biological child. So now we know, right? What did I take away from this shit? Women are sleeping with and getting pregnant by the same man.
Yeah.
Black fathers are more involved in their kids' lives than the media would like us to believe. Mm-hmm. A big part of the black community being destroyed and being in such a dilapidated state is black women choosing their personal happiness and love over keeping the family together, right? So, I want you guys to think about that, do your own research, and I would love any woman that wants to come on to the podcast and talk about this, whether you have kids or not. We're open. We'll open the floor for you because these are discussions that we need to have. And when you point out the problem, that's one thing, but understanding what caused the problem and what we can do as a solution to the problem, I think that's where we start to change things for the better. But we all have to hold each other accountable. And this is all love, right? And if you're making mistakes, you should be able to be open to be, criticized and corrected. And based on the data and studies, I mean, I now think that black women in the community who decide their personal happiness and what they want in the moment, and if that leads them to leave a father who is productive, whether you still love him or not, whether you're attracted to him or not, or you fell out of love, if you decide to break up the family because of those things that I just stated, I think you're just as destructive or just as a big of a problem as the person who's committing crimes in the black community, right? And destroying the black community. Tari, any closing remarks?
This is a big discussion, and I want to, because I'm always in the comment section. So please, ladies, comment so that I can, because I felt like for some of these points, I would like to hear what women think about this. Because from what I'm hearing, I can't really defend much. What he's saying is it sounds pretty good, and it sounds pretty accurate. Like it's an accurate.
And these are stats. I didn't pull this shit out of thin air.
Yeah, so it's like
Come on, man. Come on.
The comments, please.
And also too, just to leave you with this too, seeing that most men are single, more men are single than women, more women are having children more so than men are. It shows that women are picking men based off of superficial reasons, genetics, right? Just how he looks and how handsome he is. Not is he going to be a substantial long-term partner?
But this goes back to they don't know how to.
And
pick
even
men
if they
when
are
they're younger.
substantial long-term partners, or maybe women are just get fucking bored quicker and want to leave because they're bored because they're not emotionally stimulated.
I mean, you saying all this, but
Because hold on. Because if, like you said, if women date up front when they're younger, if they date, for genetics, and they're tending to get pregnant, right, by the men who are genetically gifted, and they're still fucking leaving, what does that say?
That man might not have certain things that women might. The men that women mate with are not the men who are always stable long-term partners, which is why the dual mating strategy exists.
Okay.
So it's like I think nature kind of has its own workings.
So
of
get
how
the
this-
best genetics out there in the
Get
world.
the best genetics first, and then find some dude to raise it later. Like, you know, that's what it seems like.
But whatever the reason is, black kids are
I
being
don't think
raised.
they're doing it on purpose, by the way.
But here's the thing: no matter what the reason is, like you said, there's always an answer, right? There's
The kids
always
are
a reason.
suffering.
But cool. But kids are being raised in one-parent households, single mothers, and they're failing. It's not working. So no matter what the fucking reason is, we have to come to an answer and a solution, and we have to do better. Right? That's it.
All right.
Until next time. This is the
comment,
guy.
and subscribe.
Yes, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Guys Podcast, Capture Media. I'm Akhtar Muhammad. I got my brother, my co-host, my dog, Tyria Costa.
We out of here.
Until next time, peace.